Hey, 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 hey. Welcome back, Libertarian-Socialists and wannabes. Welcome back to me too. I just went to Canada, doing a lot of stuff, not necessarily working on the book all the time, have to admit. Year 2017 coming to a close. We're looking at a year of a new president. What do we think about that? Well, part of the reason I went to Canada is I'm not happy about what's going on in my country. And I can't deny that there has been times in the past where I've thought about maybe Canadian citizenship is the thing to do. Once, twice, given it serious consideration. And each time I've just rejected it out of hand because I feel that I'm an American. I really feel that strongly. But lately, I'm not sure I have that much in common with my fellow Americans. Stuff that's going on, shooting each other, the stuff we're saying on TV, I'm not quite sure I understand my fellow Americans. And there I was in Canada, thinking about things, thinking about purchasing some land, and I was looking across the Straits of Juan de Fuca at my country, yeah, my country. I kept saying that to myself, my country. I'm going to move to Canada, not be American anymore, American in Canada. I want to be in my country. My country. I was born here, just like the president. It's my country too. And I'm back. And I'm here to say stuff. I'm frustrated. I'm sure many of you are frustrated. It seems as if there's nothing that can be done to stop a rather confiscatory agenda that seems to be going on in Washington, D.C. And, you know, I would be lying if I didn't say I felt the same despair. I do feel the same despair. I really do. And it's been difficult for me to even get on here and even say anything because of what's going on in my country, because there is not a lot we can do right now because the leaders of power are not controlled by the people. They really are not. And I have to say that when I get back to my country, and the first thing that I hear is that we are unable to support a UN resolution condemning the glorification of Nazism, you know, I definitely feel a gulf between myself and my fellow Americans. My father fought in the Battle of the Bulge. My Battle of the Bulge against Nazis. If Nazis come and wave their flag at my front door, I don't know what I will do. I do not know. I just do not know what I'm going to do. I do not expect necessarily to be holding my temper if someone were to wave a Nazi flag on my street. My grandfather fought in World War II against Nazis. Now, listeners here have seen the cigarette box that a German prisoner of war made for my grandfather. Possibly that guy was a Nazi, but he's reformed. My grandfather and the other good guys that were the Americans that won World War II reformed him. He wasn't a Nazi anymore. In my heart, that's what I say happened. But if he starts waving a Nazi flag again, maybe you have to shoot him. I don't know. I know that to me the Nazi flag represents ultimate evil and needs to be condemned. Condemned. So here I am, came back to my country because it's my country too, and I feel that there are a lot of people out there that are simpatico, that actually do agree with me. And I see it as a real responsibility for me to stay in this country. And I guess right now, yeah, I am not going to say that person's name. Number 45, I do not think that you are serving the people, number 45. Right here on this channel, I have sometimes been accused of being an apologist for number 45. But I can no longer really speak the name because it's free PR. And I'm tired of hearing that there's no vacancy at Mar-a-Lago because it's all filled up with Secret Service and other government officials paying Mar-a-Lago's exorbitant fees. Number 45. You said a lot of stuff about serving the people, and I'm not feeling it. I am not feeling it. I'm feeling like you're serving others. And I'm feeling like you have some really powerful, rich friends, or you'd be resigning like so many other genitalia-grabbing persons have been forced to do. Now, let's speak some truth. Harvey Weinstein. The existence of Harvey Weinstein. Decades of, not doing what he's supposed to, taking advantage of people. There has to be an infrastructure for that to be covered up for decades, right? The rich people infrastructure that allows them to have a different world than the rest of us. That is what the Harvey Weinstein narrative should be telling you as an American. That there are two sets of rules. Rich people rules and then everyone else rules. And poor people say there's three people's rules. And poor people may be right about that. That's another story. Harvey Weinstein. His mere existence for so long is proof of the underground that protects the rich. It's there, right? Or he couldn't possibly have gone on for so long. And I think if we look at his financial records, we'll see that his recent exposure coincides with a downward spiral in his financial situation, in which he requires help from some of his rich friends because he's not running his business well, for whatever reason. That's why all the sexual harassment stuff comes out. He loses his money and loses his ability to protect himself. Now, I think a lot of people in power maybe thought, cut and run, hang him, be done. He's a powerful liberal anyway, and we don't want him around. Well, I think maybe there's some fallout there, a little bit more fallout than they expected. I think number 45 is a perfect example of a little more fallout than they expected. But I also think that there's clear indications here that he's not serving the people. Number 45, not serving the people. He's serving another agenda. His powerful friends means he gets to stay in office. He may resign at some point, allowing Mike Pence to step in, a more straightforward politician who does what he's told. In any case, number 45 is doing most of what he's supposed to do, it would seem. I mean, there's a Supreme Court nominee, and we have the troop deployments. I mean, that's a lot of money. We deployed a lot of troops with no debate whatsoever on what those numbers looked like and how much money we were spending immediately and into the future. None of that is discussed. How can we possibly have a budget that is balanced when we just throw away money on military adventures with no debate whatsoever and no metrics that show that we are anything is a successful? There's this ongoing, money pit. At some point, you got to decide that you're not going to throw money at that anymore. You're going to fix it in a different way. But it's profitable. There are wartime profiteers, and they make a lot of money off a global conflict. Dwight D. Eisenhower, who in my mind may be the greatest Republican president. History has yet to rule on that. Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, they certainly have a case. Teddy Roosevelt for breaking the monopolies and the trusts, helping the working man. Lincoln for keeping the Union together and ending slavery in this country. Yeah, those are great Republican presidents. And Dwight D. Eisenhower is contending, in my opinion, as a great Republican president, or maybe the greatest. It really depends on whether we listen to the message of the conscious or unconscious manipulations of policy by the military-industrial complex. Are we going to pay attention to this? Because it's happening. And they are manipulating foreign policy, whether it be conscious or unconscious. It doesn't matter. They are being enriched hugely by global conflict. We need to have declarations of war. I don't know what that means when Republicans hold all levers of power, I have to say. But an authorization to use military force is insufficient. And a 15-year-old one is definitely insufficient. So, I think everyone recognizes that, which may be why the whole Jerusalem, recognized Jerusalem as the Israeli capital is happening, because it stirs up a lot of conflict over there. It's a real distraction, but it also stirs up conflict. May be able to get enough conflict to get another AUMF. Man, these authorizations to use military force is ridiculous. It's called a declaration of war because you're going to kill people. So, yeah. Number 45 is doing his job. Supreme Court, conservative for generations. You have tax reform. It's in the legislature. It is so close to going through, and we barely even know what's in it. I'm not even going to try and parse it right now. I think there's a possibility that it's really going to happen. What is in there is just going to blow on through. I really don't know what's going to happen, because number 45 is doing his job. He is whipping those Republicans into shape, getting them to do what they are supposed to be doing for their Republican donors. And it's all about revenue streams. These revenue streams are important to the oligarchs. Number 45 works for the oligarchs. He's gotten a Supreme Court nominee. He's gotten the troop deployments. Tax reform's going to happen. Public lands have been returned to, in the case of a couple of national monuments like barriers, they've been returned to the ability of the extraction industries to use them for profit. I'm not sure that that is what they're there for. Are the public lands really there just for corporate profit? I'm not sure that that is what they're there for. So, there's a lot of stuff in the news. The Jerusalem thing's a distraction. Can't do a lot about it. I want to talk a little bit about net neutrality. And net neutrality is, I think the internet is really, it's a utility, and it should probably be protected a bit more than it's going to be if we repeal net neutrality. I want some regulation there. The United States is ninth when you look at broadband speeds and penetration, and that's on the wire, which is older technology. If you look at mobile, we're talking about 46th. We're behind Albania. So that's not because net neutrality slowed things. Truly is not. Things have been lagging for a long time, and a monopoly truly exists. There's just not enough competition in this space for there to be a price to speed ratio that is competitive around the world. No, not here. So you look at net neutrality, what do you think about it? Should we get all, I'm concerned about it, but when you look at the companies that might make money or might lose money, depending on how net neutrality goes, I'm not sure that you saw a big, huge move in their stocks. So the people that put the money in, they are looking at this, they're not sure how it's going to work out either. I'm not sure net neutrality is at the top of the list of things that we should get in a lather about. What I would say maybe potentially we want to get in a lather about is, provocative actions in the Korean Peninsula, continuing overflights there. I mean, if a nuke goes off anywhere in the world, big problems for the whole world. I mean, I thought we had figured all this out in the 80s with Gorbachev and Reagan, when scientists finally broke through all the fog and said, look, X amount of megatons gets set off anywhere on the planet, and it's over. Going to be a nuclear winter. So you guys have 1,000 times more megatonnage, each of you, than to cause a nuclear winter. So all you got to do is set off a few nukes somewhere in the ocean or in Antarctica. You don't have to hit each other, and it's over for all of us. So the nuclear posturing and number 45's talk about increasing the nuclear arsenal or modernizing it. Stupid, dumb, no, I can't understand, right? Old technology, stupid technology, no win technology. The only reason that you would modernize something like that is to line the pockets of people making the ancient technology, because they don't want to modernize, they just want to keep their revenue stream going, right? So it is of great concern what's happening in the Korean Peninsula. And I think that, yes, anything happens in the Korean Peninsula, Americans need to ask and demand a declaration of war. I do understand that everyone is feeling like they're helpless, but there are things we can do, and the levers of power are still there for the people to control. Got to pay attention to them. So frankly, we look at this tax reform in the way that the high state tax blue states are not going to be allowed to write off the tax. Their citizens not going to be able to write off their taxes. To me, this is another attempt to loot the blue states and subsidize the red states, because the blue states, these high tax states, they actually pay quite a bit in taxes to Washington, D.C. And California's been running a deficit with Washington, D.C. for a long time. And that can't continue. And Californians are going to rebel against more looting of their tax revenue with nothing coming back. When you do the numbers, California is in the red. We are supporting the rest of the country with excess revenue that we send to Washington, D.C., and we don't get those services back. And Californians are becoming aware of that. Now, why is that the case? Why is that the case? That is something that Libertarian-Socialism, American Style, the book I'm working on, and it's going to be done soon, really has something to say, right? First of all, the Electoral College matters a lot. You can't just move off to this popular vote, because the Electoral College is acting as a canary in the coal mine so that we know, as voters, something's up. Electoral College isn't matching the popular vote. Statistically, it should almost all of the time. And the reason why it's not is, it's a symptom of it being gamed. And it's being, those that pay for it to be gamed pay for a victory. So the popular vote would be nice for it to match, but it doesn't have to match. Electoral College has to be a certain way for pay for victory. Because I think, to a certain extent, that is what is happening. These elections are being gamed. So, Californians, Americans, Electoral College is very important. It's very important because the divergence from the popular vote is an indication that something's not right. We need to pay closer attention to what's going on. And if the Electoral College would be eliminated, there would be no way to do a real audit it would be much more difficult to do an audit. You want some details there, GoFundMe/Save the Republic, blackboxvoting.org, the Breaking method. Those are some of the things that can bring some electoral transparency, but the Electoral College itself has to continue. Now, another thing that is affecting California specifically, and these states that have high populations, doesn't seem to have representation. I mean, 1 in 11 Americans lives in the megalopolis of Southern California. 1 in 9 Americans is a Californian. Yet, it doesn't seem like California's, culture is part of American foreign policy to the extent that one would think when it's 10% of the United States population. Well, there's a reason for that, and Libertarian Socialism can speak to that very specifically, because I'm just channeling the Founding Fathers. Yeah, here it is, Declaration of Independence, tie, got it on specifically. I get a lot of compliments on this tie. Why do I'm not sure why exactly. On the right, the left, people I don't expect, everyone likes this tie, because in their heart, everyone's an American. And the Founding Fathers, they really had something. They were on to something. They were on to something. All right? Here, I actually have the original copy of the Bill of Rights here. The Bill of Rights, right? Everyone knows Bill of Rights. 10 amendments to the Constitution. 10 amendments to the Constitution. But I have original right here. Original right here. Hey, there's 12. There's 12. What are these first 2 up here? This is the original. Original. It's got the original Constitution, or Bill of Rights amendments, and there's 12, not 10. What were the other 2? Well, one of them said Congress can't give itself a raise while it's sitting in office. So it can give the next Congress a raise, but it can't give itself a raise. That one didn't get passed in the 18th century. But in the 1990s, it did get passed, finally. And that amendment, hey, makes a lot of sense. But it took 200 years for us to figure it out. Founding Fathers, 200 years prophetic. Wow. Wow. But what about the other one? What's that other one, right? Because there's 12. Now we got 11. 11 passed now. Stop, can't let the crooks give themselves raises. Among the other 10, I'm not going to go through 10. Read the book, Libertarian-Socialism, or get a copy of his rights and read it so you know what your rights are, and you can say, hey, why am I not getting my rights? Anyway, number 12. Because number 12 is real important. It's real important. That's why I'm telling you there's still hope for America. The levers of power are still here for us to grab a hold of and do something with. And stop number 45 from looting the country for his sponsors. Now, number 12. Particularly important to Californians, I think. Number 12. One hadn't passed yet. Says that my representation in the House of Representatives should never fall below 30,000. What? What? My representation in the House of Representatives in California is something like 800,000 to 1. I should only have 29,999 other constituents that my House of Representative guy should be representing. Instead, he represents almost 1 million. And the House of Representative guy in Wyoming, because in Wyoming I only got 500,000 or something. Even though they got 1 person in Wyoming has better representation in the House of Representatives, the People's House, where population matters, in Wyoming has better representation in the most populous state, Citizen, California. They're a big problem because in the Senate, it's all about every state gets 2. Population doesn't matter. House of Representatives, it really, really matters. So every time there was a census, they redid the size of the House of Representatives until the 20th century. And then in 1917, they said, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that. And then, Arizona comes in. In any case, without going into too many details, the House of Representatives gets frozen at 445. Frozen. At the same time that women also get the vote. So during women's suffrage, you double the electorate. And you freeze the People's House. And now, almost 100 years later, here we have this really unbalanced representation happening, causing such a huge divergence in representation in D.C. to what people and the population of the United States actually believe. Now, we the people can say, hey, we want the 12th one too. Let's do it. How do you do that? Read the book, Libertarian-Socialism, American Style. Get the book, read the book. It will be available 2018, beginning of 2018, guaranteed. You contact me, I will give you an early copy of that book on the first day of January of 2018. That's how close it is. I'm just working with my editor. I'm looking to see if I get someone to publish it so I don't have to pay to get the message out. I'm tired of always paying. I'm paying with my blood and my time right now. In any case, get the book. There are answers. It does matter. It does really matter. Responsible representation, responsible governorship matters. Number 45 is not your friend, and he does not represent responsible governorship for the American people. He's carrying water for somebody else, it appears. He's got some very powerful friends, it appears. Are they Russians? Ha! Well, I think the Russians help both sides. Like the smart people the Russians are. They help both sides, so no matter who wins, they're beholden to Putin. Right? That's what happened. It's up to us to figure out what the truth is. Everyone around the world tells us lies all the time. Tell us lies all the time. Do we believe them, or do we believe in ourselves? Fake news. Hey, here's a test. Libertarian-Socialists, here's a test. Let's test your fake news detection abilities. neo-liberalism.org. Is that fake news? I'm not sure. Go take a look. Kind of interesting. In the meantime, don't speak the name of number 45. It's free PR. And let's make sure we don't set off a nuke for Christmas in Pyongyang. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Christmas means peace. Korea is important. Korea is more important in Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, in my opinion. Pay attention to what's happening in the Korean Peninsula, not what's happening in Jerusalem. So, Libertarian-Socialism, American Style, pretty old. Pretty old. Libertarian-Socialism, American Style, pretty old. Read the Bill of Rights. I'll see you.